Welcome. Thank you for joining us today. My name is Jennifer Gibson. I'm director of the University of Toronto Joint Centre for Bioethics, an associate professor in the Dalla Lana School of Public Health, and director of the MHSc in Bioethics. I'm joined today by my colleagues Terry Ewan, program assistant for the MHSc program in Bioethics, and Ene Kojikwu, events and project coordinator for the Joint Centre for Bioethics. This is the last of 3 information sessions that we are hosting this fall. Before we get started, I would like to highlight a few housekeeping items. First, today's information session is being recorded and will be posted on the MHSc in Bioethics program page. The posted recording will only capture my slides, visual image, and voice. Second, during the question and answer period, I ask that you use the chat function. Terry will be monitoring the chat and will read out your questions. You will not be identified by name and your visual image will not be posted. Third, if you would like to use closed captions, please click on the Show Captions button at the bottom of your screen, or it might also be in the top menu bar of your screen, depending on your Zoom setup. Finally, we will post contact information on the last slide in case you have additional questions after today's info session. So, thanks again for joining, and let's get started. Bioethics has never been more relevant than it is today. Health systems around the globe face complex health system challenges affecting the health and well-being of individuals and populations. At the heart of these challenges are fundamental ethical issues which cannot be resolved by simply appealing to legal or regulatory requirements, searching for more data or evidence, or by designing technical solutions alone. In the health institutions and systems of today and tomorrow, the ability to anticipate, to recognize, to assess, and to address ethical issues in practice has become an essential professional competency. What ethical issues are keeping you up at night? My sense is that you are here today because there are ethical issues in your own practice or in your own experiences which are calling you to explore a master's degree in bioethics. Perhaps those issues are issues that you're confronting today, or they may be worries about ethical issues we may need to face together in the future. If you wish, please feel free to jot a few examples in the chat box. In today's session, our agenda is as follows. First, I will provide an overview of the MHSc in Bioethics program, including information about its goal and learning objectives, program admission requirements, and a little bit about our current students and graduates. I will then outline key components of your MHSc application package, and then I'll turn it over to you for your questions. So, what is the MHSc program in bioethics? The MHSc in Bioethics is a 2-year professional master's degree for working health and health-related professionals who are seeking to develop their bioethics knowledge and skills, ideally to strengthen bioethics capacity in their institutional or professional practice setting. The program aims to provide learners with an interprofessional education in the theory and practice of bioethics, to provide learners with opportunities to apply bioethics knowledge and skills in their health settings, and to foster development of attributes, attitudes, and interpersonal skills suitable for individuals engaging in bioethics activities. We're especially excited about the MHSc program, having just recently redesigned it with the professional learner in mind. The MHSc program is designed with a hybrid program format, including both in-person and online learning components. In-person residency weeks, normally of 5 days in duration, focus on immersive social learning activities and professional skill development, and are held on campus at the University of Toronto in each academic session. MHSc courses are primarily conducted online, with some required courses having an in-person component during the residency week. This innovative program format means that students from diverse geographic locations can participate fully in the program, and importantly, that high-achieving professionals can complete the degree without interrupting their career. The MHSc program comprises required coursework to establish a shared foundation for bioethics inquiry. It is also designed to foster student learning tailored around their unique bioethics interests and learning goals through, for example, elective coursework, their practicum experience, and a capstone project. Given an extensive network of bioethics experts and settings across Canada and globally, most students will be able to complete their practicum experience in their local setting with appropriate local supervision and ongoing program mentorship. Students will complete an independent capstone project on an applied bioethics topic under supervision of an MHSc faculty member and with peer feedback from other students in their cohort. Expert faculty with real-world bioethics experience facilitate the learning process by applying adult education principles based in action learning and professional inquiry, and a strength-based commitment to inclusive, anti-oppressive pedagogical practice. Finally, the MHSc employs a cohort model, fostering shared inquiry, facilitating peer mentorship, and cultivating professional relationships among students, both during and after the degree. A strength of our program is the diversity of its students, who bring their experience and expertise into the learning environment. Students have shared with us over the years how much they value and benefit from the contextual, personal, and professional insights of their classmates from diverse professional disciplines, different health sectors, settings and roles, and other health systems in Canada and beyond. There are three key degree components, which all MHSc students must complete. MHSc students must complete 6 required courses and 4 electives, a 48-hour experiential learning placement in a bioethics practice setting, and a capstone project that they will lead independently under the supervision of an expert faculty member on an applied bioethics topic. Required and elective courses have a hybrid format with both in-person and online components. All students participate in the same modality at the same time. Roughly 1/3 of each course is conducted in person during the academic term residency week, and 2/3 is conducted synchronously online. Further program requirement is that all students participate in person at each 5-day residency week on the University of Toronto campus in each academic term. Here is an image of a typical pathway that our students are following. You can see that the pathway is broken down into 2 years, 3 academic sessions in the first year and 2 in the second year. The residency weeks are scheduled in different months of the year, starting in September, one in January, one in May, and then in the second year in October and in March. There is an in-person required course focusing on professional skills in applied bioethics, which is conducted in person only during each of the residency weeks. The other 5 required courses are taken during the fall and winter terms of the very first year, laying a foundation of shared bioethics knowledge and inquiry. However, in the second term of the first year, in the winter term, students may opt to take one elective course. However, we generally encourage students to distribute their elective courses across the fall, the winter, summer, fall, and winter terms in order to be able to maintain a balance of no more than 2 or 3 courses per term. Finally, our learners will typically undertake their practicum experience in applied bioethics at some point during the summer, fall, or winter terms at the end of the first year into the second year. And this will be largely determined by the flexibility that the learner may have in terms of their time, the availability of a supervisor. So long as those 48 hours are completed over the course of those 3 sessions, you may take as long you can take as long as 3 sessions to complete your practicum, or you may opt to complete it in a single term. The capstone project is also undertaken predominantly in the second year, and initial work is started on the capstone project to define what that project is, to develop a plan for it in the summer term, and then is carried out through the second year. The key here is the first year courses are establishing a foundation for your success in your practicum and in your capstone project. Now, turning to program requirements. Oops, pardon me, that's backwards. Now, sometimes we are asked the question, so what types of capstone projects do students undertake? And there are 4 main buckets of capstone projects. Often students will undertake a bioethics education project. Here are some examples of one of our current cohorts. Enhancing bioethics curriculum for Doctor of Pharmacy students, developing education rounds, or focusing on building team capacity for equity-driven goals of care conversations. Second main bucket of capstone projects can be described as bioethics policy projects. Here are some examples of thinking about policy that may apply to ethical challenges in a pediatric emergency department or in a psychiatric setting, or even more broadly at a system level and thinking about the deployment of AI scribes, thinking about what this may mean for policy ethics and stakeholder work in the implementation of AI scribes in primary care. Or it can be a policy that is going to require multiple parties coming together to think about how they may be able to facilitate a change in the way that care is provided in the case of women experiencing vaginal breech birth. Sometimes our students are undertaking what might be best described as bioethics quality improvement projects. This may be an area of improvement that's been identified in their setting, rural home health care, in mental health settings, and other intensive care settings, in really trying to think about, okay, so how can we work together to bring about an improvement in this through using quality improvement methods? And then we have some students who already have some research background, research skills, who are undertaking bioethics research projects under the supervision of somebody with the appropriate also research expertise. So you can see here just by the types of settings, the types of populations, the types of questions that all 4 of these buckets reflect the diversity of interests of our students, but also the diversity of types of projects that would be open to you to explore and undertake yourself. Our learners, as I've noted, come from diverse personal and professional experiences. Here is a photo of the class of 2026. This includes 16 learners from 5 Canadian provinces, which also means 5 time zones, with professional training in 9 health and health-related professions, and with experience having worked professionally in over 12 different healthcare, public health, and health-related health research settings. Some of our current students in our first and our second cohorts have worked professionally in other countries, so bring insight from these settings as well. The MHSc program itself has been around for almost 25 years. And when we look at where our graduates are now practicing, you can see that this is a global community of graduates from the Americas, on the African continent, and also in the Middle East and South Asia as well. So what are our graduates doing with their MHSc degrees? Today, our graduates are applying their bioethics knowledge and skill in diverse clinical, research, expert, policy, and academic roles in health organizations, professional associations, research institutes, government agencies, and universities across Canada and the globe. Here are some examples of the types of settings and the types of roles that our graduates have undertaken following completion of their MHSc degrees. The majority of our graduates, the vast majority of our graduates, continue to work professionally in their current roles, whether it's clinical role or administrative role or research roles. But a few of our graduates have gone on to take advanced professional training after their MHSc degree, and are now practicing full-time as practicing healthcare ethicists in a hospital or other health institution. And I can think of a couple of examples of where our graduates, having completed this professional master's degree, have sought to undertake a PhD in a related field, so taking a research path after this degree as well. So, what does your application package need to look like? Well, let's think a little bit about admission requirements first off. So, who are we looking for? Who is the program designed for? The MHSc program is designed for early and mid-career professionals working in health and health-related settings. The program welcomes a diversity of professional experience across the health sector in Canada and beyond. Past students have included health practitioners, health administrators and policymakers, clinician educators or faculty, academic administrators, medical residents and clinical fellows, lawyers, journalists, and we've also had a couple of patient and family advisors. Applicants are admitted under the general regulations of the School of Graduate Studies at the University of Toronto and must also satisfy the following minimum admission requirements. They must hold an appropriate undergraduate degree with a minimum B+ average in the final year of their undergraduate degree. And normally they hold a recognized professional degree in one of the health disciplines, whether, for example, a medical degree or a nursing degree or physiotherapy or social work or a law degree or the equivalent. Applicants from other disciplines or professional fields will be considered on an individual basis. All of our applicants also, in order to meet the eligibility requirements, should have at least 3 years of relevant full-time professional experience. Applicants with less experience may be considered in exceptional circumstances. The program also favors applicants with outstanding academic credentials, the demonstrated evidence of scholarly ability and personal maturity, a commitment to shared inquiry, collaboration, and mutual respect. Ideally, our applicants will have the potential for significant bioethics leadership in their home institution or local community upon completion of the degree. And this is often reinforced by strong evidence of strong institutional support in order for the applicant to participate fully in the MHSc degree program. So let's talk about the package, your application package. The first step will be to complete a School of Graduate Studies online admissions application form. This asks for some basic information about your name, your address, where you live, and also about the degrees that you have taken so far. An important part of this online admission process is for you to identify 3 referees. These are individuals who will be able to speak to your suitability for the program, your academic preparation, or your professional experience that may be especially relevant for you to be successful in the program. We request that you identify 3 referees, at least one of which should be an academic reference, and at least one should be a professional reference. The third reference is entirely up to you. For each of these 3 referees, you will be asked to provide an institutional email address so that they may be contacted at their place of employment. Sometimes you may find that the best person to write a reference for you is now retired. Please let us know if that is the case, and in that situation, a personal email address may be used instead. Your application package will also include your current curriculum vitae, or resume for another term, which clearly identifies your professional work experience. It also includes a statement of intent of about 2 single-space pages or 1,000 words, which outlines your reasons for pursuing admission into the MHSc in Bioethics, explains how your academic professional experience has prepared you for graduate education in bioethics. It identifies your main areas of professional or scholarly interest in bioethics and describes how you plan or how you hope to be able to put your MHS degree to use in your career or professional setting. In addition to the reference letters, we request that you provide a release letter from your employer. This is a letter from a senior administrator in your institution on institutional letterhead, confirming that you will have the necessary professional release time to complete the degree. And indeed also clarifies from the institution's perspective how your graduate education will help strengthen bioethics capacity in your home institution. Now, some of you may be self-employed. We ask that you nevertheless provide a letter stating that you are self-employed. This will enable your package to be received by the University of Toronto's online system as a complete package. So even though you may not have a release letter from employer, you are your own employer. I am self-employed. Put that in a letter for us so that we're aware of that. And then finally, to complete your package, we will need all of your university academic transcripts, including all undergraduate or college degrees, graduate degrees, and degrees in progress, if any. And for when you're submitting at the application phase, this can actually be unofficial transcripts. So these are typically transcripts that you can access by downloading from your former universities, downloading a transcript and sending it to us. If you were offered admission into the program, at that time, you will be required to provide, or your universities will be required to provide official transcripts. So if I will repeat just for clarity, at the application stage, we need unofficial transcripts downloaded from, often in digital form, downloaded from your universities, from your university. And if you are admitted into the program, your universities will need to issue official transcripts and send those to the University of Toronto. If you have any questions, here's how you can reach us. You can reach us by email at jcb.education@utoronto.ca, or you can visit the MHSC program website just to refresh your memory of some of what we've talked about today. And the QR code there will take you right there if that would be helpful for you. One last reminder, the application deadline is January 16th, 2026 by 11:59 in Eastern Time in Toronto. So now it's over to you for your questions. As a reminder, for those of you who may have arrived late, today's information session is being recorded and will be posted on the MHSc and Bioethics program page. The posted recording will only capture my slides and my visual image, as well as Terry Ewan's voice as he reads out your chat questions in the chat. Please put your question into the chat, and Terry will monitor the chat and read these out. You will not be identified by name, and your visual image will not be posted. So I'm going to stop sharing my screen and open up the floor to you for your questions. Terry, do we have any questions in the chat?
We do, Jen. There are a few that might be a little bit more complicated, so we'll have to put those aside. But we have a first one. When will reference be contacted? Before January 16, or is it after? And what are they required to prepare? Example letter, or are they filling out a form being sent by us at U of T?
So when you're preparing your application, your referee will be receive. You put in their information. They will be, and Terry, please correct me if I'm wrong. Your referees will receive an invitation to submit immediately at that time. And
That's right.
you, and that's right. So automatically, as you put their name in, they will receive an invitation to submit. Now, what does the reference letter look like? It's a combination of two things. There's an opportunity to provide some scoring around certain character skills that you may have, and also an opportunity for them to attach a letter of reference as well. So what you may want to do is to one of your referees, you might want to ask them as soon as they've logged in to actually let you know what's there, and then you can coach your other referees about what type of preparation they will need in order to prepare their reference for you.
Great, Jen. So while we are actually waiting for another question, there's an applicant who actually write in another private message actually asking, and I thought this is actually quite relevant for other people too, asking if they actually work related to academically. So they're actually doing academically and scholarly work, but the work itself is not really tied into their previous, I guess, education degree. Can that actually work towards the academic reference in the applications?
So is it a question about the reference, or is it about whether or not there is eligibility to sort of change, like a lot of people change career courses, so the degrees they took previously may not look very much like what you're doing now, right? So which is entirely fine. Many people do that. I started off in the sciences, and then I ended up in philosophy, and now I'm in bioethics. So we that's part of it. That's an interesting journey, and all of those moments along the way as we've developed our academic capabilities has really strengthened our insight about the world around us, and potentially even would be very enriching in the classroom. When it comes to a reference, um, these may be people from your past who will be able to speak to things like, let me give you some of the things that we're always interested to know. People who might be able to speak to your academic preparation. It could be your thinking skills, your reasoning skills, something along those lines that are transferable regardless of the discipline, but perhaps even your writing. Someone who we're also interested to hear more about you so who you are, your interpersonal skills. Are you a great collaborator? The idea of the references is that it's to help move beyond the page or beyond the screen that we'll be looking at when we're looking at your application package to get a deeper insight into who you are and to have a better sense of why it makes sense for you at this moment for this person to be actually undertaking a bioethics degree, why these three people think that you are likely to be successful in that degree, what attributes, what contributions, what experiences you could offer into this learning experience that will also be of value to others. And let me just make a point about that. I mentioned cohort in one of my earlier slides, and that is really, really, really important for this program. One of the things that we've noticed for the full 25 years of this program, and especially now in the redesigned form of it, one of the things that our learners have valued most of all is each other. And so they have come together and they continue to, and I know this because they tell me so, that they continue to stay in contact after the degree. In effect, what the cohort model is doing is building a community of practice that people carry forward with them. And indeed, some come back to teach in the program. So when we're looking at you, we're looking at you as academically, will you be successful? Does it make sense for you to have a bioethics degree at this time? But also the application review committee is curious to know, what would it be like if we were to bring this group of excellent applicants together into the classroom together? What will happen? What's the magic that will happen with this cohort coming together that will be very unique? And so we're also interested in who you are as a person. The other thing that we're working on right now is that you will carry through your degree in a single cohort, but now we've got this right now we're recruiting for the third cohort of this program. And I know the first and second cohorts right now, the redesign program, are very keen to know each other and are going to be looking forward to meeting you. So we're really starting to think about this as a cohort of cohorts that we can actually start to build a broader community of practice that would, so it's not, so it's thinking about how can we build this community of bioethics scholarship and learning together that will sustain us into the months and years to come.
Great, thanks, Jen. Well, actually very elaborate and extensive too. So that was a good one. On my application, it appears that the employer release letter is part of the reference session. Will the employer be asked to score the applicant on the same criteria, or they just uploaded the letter on the institution letterhead? So just a quick one about that one. I will actually check with Jennifer on this one. I don't believe that was supposed to be in the same session. Jennifer can elaborate this on later on, but I'm pretty sure the release letter was actually like a almost like a guarantor for your employers to release time for you to attend classes. So I'll let Jennifer speak on this.
Yeah, it may be that in the system as it's set up right now, that the release letter seems to be fed into the same field, if you will, in the online system. Um, but the release letter should stand alone. We need to know that you have institutional support to be there in the class with us and learning together with us. And then you've got your three other references. Now, sometimes the person writing release letter is also one of your referees and can do both. My advice to you would be to signal that they signal that really explicitly in this letter. I'm serving two purposes. A, I'm this person's director, and I'm commenting on I'm providing support. We're going to have support for this individual to take the program, and the support looks like this, and I'm providing a reference. So the more that you can transparently let us know that this person is wearing both of those hats, which is fine, but make it really clear for us so that we don't feel like we're missing a letter in there. It should be really, really clear that someone has got your back to be able to take the program, and then you've got three people who are actually endorsing you as a candidate for the program based on all of those all of your excellent attributes, your professional experiences, and your academic preparation.
Thank you. Um, when are admissions, I guess, when are they going to be sent out once the decision has been made?
Great question. So just to give you a kind of a sense of how things move along here. So your applications come in mid-January. We will screen them just for eligibility, and also I'll be convening our admissions review committee to review all the applications. We'll screen for conflict of interest so that everybody is sort of being reviewed across a level on a level playing field. Then through February, that's when most of the reviews will be done. So what we're working towards is making recommendations to the graduate office of public health sciences, which is our home for this program. We'll make our recommendations to them in March, and then they will subsequently go through a process of administrative review with the School of Graduate Studies. So typically, my experience has been, and Terry, please clarify this as well, it would be more towards the end of March or early April that we would likely see those admission letters starting to go out. Now, from time to time, we have maintained a waiting list. And so you might actually receive notification that you're on a waiting list. And we are very mindful of maintaining, being very active with that waiting list so that you're not left hanging. So that you may not find out until closer to June whether or not you're still on that waiting list or if you've been offered admission. So, but if I can just sort of to summarize, it would be by late winter, early spring that you would be starting to hear from us again.
That's right. So usually what we told applicant is actually if you have not received a definite answer, then it means that your application are still under review and just stay put will actually give you a definite answer once the time has come.
That's right. And that definite answer will come through the Graduate Office of Public Health Sciences, not through um, Terry or myself. So we hand things over to our graduate department to be able to issue letters of acceptance and other letters, other relevant letters as well.
Absolutely. Jennifer, what is the profile of the current cohorts in terms of their background? Do most of them have a professional degree or do they have a diverse background?
Our current, both of our cohorts right now all have professional experiences. They run the range of sort of clinical roles, physician, nurse, working as a nurse or social worker, and even within the clinical disciplines, some diversities. There are mental health care, pediatric care, intensive care. We also have a couple of colleagues who are working in privacy field. So their disciplinary background is not a clinical background, but maybe more arts and science. And then they now are serving in a privacy capacity within a health institution. One of our learners currently is a lawyer working at that intersection between health and law in their professional practice. So that's what our current cohort is, and it actually reflects the most of our history is sort of reflected that sort of diversity perspectives. Some of the other, as I noted a little earlier, sometimes we've had, for example, individuals who've been academic administrators at universities. So they've been, say, working in the continuing medical education office of their faculty of medicine, or they might be an associate dean. And so, I mean, it really runs the gamut of the types of settings where having a master's degree in bioethics can serve to enhance their professional work, whether it's in a research setting, whether it's in a university, whether it's in a hospital, in the community, within a pharmaceutical industry. Actually, one of our learners right now works in medical affairs with a large pharmaceutical industry grappling with some really challenging ethical questions there too. So I think that it's the diversity of settings. It really reflects where some of the tough ethical issues are these days. And we anticipate that our incoming cohort, the third cohort, would be similarly diverse, but very unique. Just every cohort will be a little bit different, um, but nevertheless, folks with some professional experience to bring to inform our shared work.
Great. Um, how many applicants and available spots are there, and what are the acceptance rate?
So we're finding that we normally get about, I'm going to say about 30 plus applicants per year for about 15 to 20 spots. So that gives you a bit of a sense of sort of the ratio of acceptances to offers, or sort of offers applications to offers to acceptances. And so one of the reasons we try to keep the number reasonably small, no more than 20 students, because we're trying to build cohort and build relationship. So that is partly by design. We don't want it to be large cohorts, but it is competitive indeed. So by all means, don't be daunted by that. We'd love to hear from you, and we'd love to learn more about you and what you're doing.
Thank you, Jen. Yeah, just to add, the university itself is quite competitive across most of the program, but we don't discourage people to apply, so please do if you're interested at this.
Exactly.
Yeah. I'm not seeing a question. There's an aside question that was added, but I feel like this actually warrants an actual like shout out to that. One of the attendees stated that during the last year of the university, they have actually experienced significant health problem, and it was kind of reflected poorly on their grading as well. And asked what they can do if it is actually feasible for them to submit like an additional statement to just address that. I answered her privately. I said, of course, like it is actually relevant to your experience. And I said that, like, we have been through, like human itself, we have issues for our
Yeah.
life, and therefore it's better to explain that situation if that ever comes to that, right?
Exactly, Terry. I think that that's really well put. I think I very often, especially once people move on to their professional lives, their undergraduate degrees are in the past, and very often what they're doing now doesn't reflect where they were at so many years before. And so sometimes the undergraduate transcripts can look like a little bit of a patchwork, anyways. We're learning how to engage in university life, but then there can be personal life experiences that can help to contextualize and explain why, for example, there may have been a dip in grades in a particular term or a particular year. And so the place that you might, I'd invite you to reflect on that and just note it, is in your letter of intent. Um, it's really helpful for us as we're reviewing this to understand without you disclosing more information than you feel like you need to, that this was a particularly difficult year, for example, and that it and so then just noting that doesn't make us see it as a red flag. It's just actually it just helps us contextualize where you're at. And keep in mind too that your undergraduate degree may be far receded in the past. We'll be looking at your complete package as a whole. So where have you gone next? What have your experiences been after this? What are your referees saying about you? What does your CV tell us about where you've taken your professional life since your undergraduate time? So we look at this as a whole. But if you can note for us, yeah, that was not a good year. Was dealing with personal or family or other types of difficulties, that helps to explain that. But look at what else I've done since then that tells you where I am now, as you're applying to the program today.
Thank you, Jen. I don't see any questions in the chat anymore.
Okay. Okay. Entirely fine. So if you
Hmm.
do have questions that come up after the fact, of course, there's hopefully you took a snap of the QR code and you have immediate access to the MHSC program page on the Joint Center for Bioethics website. Or do not hesitate to send an email to jcb.education@utoronto.ca with any questions that you may have. And we always will endeavor to respond within 24 to 48 hours. One thing that I will let you know is that the University of Toronto is closed for the holiday season, starting on the afternoon of December 23rd and reopens on January 5th. And during that time, we won't be able to answer any questions for you, but we will do so promptly upon our return, once the University of Toronto reopens. So if you do have questions or you're not sure, you just want to clarify, I would do encourage you to send them our way over the next 2 weeks or hold them until the new year, and we'll get back to you as quickly as we can, keeping in mind that the deadline is July 16th. So there are a couple of weeks before the actual deadline when we may be able to provide you the information that you need to complete your package.
No, that's it.
Okay, well, thank you all so much for coming. We're really looking forward to your applications. We're here to help if you have any questions, but we're really excited. This is a very exciting program right now. We're looking forward to meeting you, and thank you so much for joining us today. For those of you who are celebrating the holiday season, I wish you all the best for the holidays and look forward to seeing some of you in the new year.